It's really important to celebrate your accomplishments before rushing on to the next item on your list because it creates definition and a sense of accomplishment. So I really recommend to write down how you will celebrate next to each big goal.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to episode 189 of the Thrive by Design podcast. Hey, here it's Tracy Matthews, the Chief Visionary Officer over at Flourish and Thrive Academy. I am so stoked to be here today and to be chatting with you. New year, new vibe. I feel so excited. I can't believe it's already the end of February, but as this episode is airing, but whatever, we're rolling with it. We got things going on, or I guess it's middle of February as this goes live. It's like actually President's Day when this episode rolls. And I'm excited to be here for a lot of different reasons. In fact, today I have a very special guest on the show, Nina Cooper of Nina Designs. And Nina and I have become really good friends. She is a mentor in our SOS community and just a really inspirational person because she's been an entrepreneur for probably longer or just as long as I have. And, growing a business requires, resilience, gumption, creativity, and avoiding burnout. Because if you get into that place where you're stuck in burnout over and over again, you will have a hard time growing your business. And so this is a really great opportunity for us to kind of talk with Nina, to talk about how she's overcome burnout. She's had some really interesting things happen in her life, which she's going to share, including floodings and fires and things that kind of literally burned out her life. But also, I share a little story too about how I kind of faced some burnout last year, and I took a sabbatical for 6 weeks and went to Europe. And I was working a little bit while I was there, but it was just the mental break that I needed to kind of rejigger and recharge. And had I been taking a little bit more self-care of myself, I might not have needed to do that. Although it was a welcome trip and a vacation. And that's why I'm an entrepreneur. And that's why I continue growing a business, because this is the most important thing. So Nina, as I mentioned, is one of our mentors in our SOS coaching program. And it's just a really amazing program where designers are just moving their online businesses forward so much quicker. We say that it's really about, it's called the Strategic Online Success Accelerator. And we always say, it's about helping designers move faster with their online and digital strategy. But really, it's a whole business platform. I mean, designers are hiring people, they're getting crazy support, they're figuring out their pricing models. And it's great because they're all getting one-on-one feedback and their businesses continue to grow. And it's super fun. I've seen some designers, like I got a message the other day from when I'm recording this. I'm recording this in the early February from Jen Licia Ames. And she said that she has never had a January this good. She tripled her sales from last year, just being in this group because she totally hustled. So I'm very excited because many of these designers have been like, especially Jen Licia, who has her main business model was doing a ton of shows, which is something that can create crazy burnout doing it all the time. And that's one of the reasons why she joined us for SOS, is because she wanted to be able to transition some of those in-person sales into online sales so that she could continue to grow her business without having to physically be somewhere. So if you are someone who is trying to leverage your online strategy and your online sales and use your website as your number one sales tool, and you already have a business running, I'd love to invite you to jump on a strategy session with me or my team. The session's totally free, no harm, no foul. It's an awesome place for us to get to know your business better. On that session, we're going to walk through exactly like where you are in business now, what your hopes and dreams are of where you're trying to go, and also kind of identify some of the things that might be holding you back from that. And if we think there's a way that we can help you, maybe through our SOS program or through another program that we have, we will share that with you. And if not, no worries. We'll send you on your way and you can move on to greener pastures and continue growing your business. So it is a pleasure to have Nina on the show. And if you'd like to, and she's going to be one of our mentors, as I mentioned, in the SOS program this year, which is amazing. And if you'd like to find out more about basically getting on a call with someone on my team, I'd love for you to head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/strategy. That's flourishthriveacademy.com/strategy. And you can jump on a call with someone on my team. These are application calls. They're completely free. So we'll ask you a few questions and then we'll determine if you're a good fit for the call or not. So this is really good for people who are interested in moving faster and want the support to get there and are ready to kind of take the leap and make an investment in their program and get, triple their January sales like Jen Licia did and, get really amazing results. I have like hundreds of case studies and testimonials and inspirational success stories from our designers after doing this program for 1 year. And it's incredible some of the things that they can do. Like Gina and Jared were able to replace their roller coaster income from an Etsy fluke by working with us last year. And now they're consistently making 5 figures a month. And the cool thing too is that Alex Camacho ended up increasing her revenue and crossing the 6-figure mark by over 25%. She was already on track to have a pretty good year, but she increased it another 25%. And within 6 months went from thinking she was going to be doing like somewhere in the 70s in revenue to doing about 110 or 100. I think when I interviewed her, she had already done 104, but the rest of December wasn't over. And she's like, I totally crushed my goals because of all the tips that we gave her about really building a business and connecting with her clients. And so if you want to prevent burnout and really leverage your time so that you're not always having to be in person or work for low margins in the wholesale industry, we'd love to help you out. So sign up for a strategy session now and let's do this. I'll have all the links over on the show notes too. Nina's going to also share some special offers. So my guest today is Nina Cooper of ninadesigns.com. Nina is a great friend of Flourish and Thrive. She's spoken at many of our events. She's been a sponsor of the podcast. And today she just, she approached me a while back and she's like, I'd love to be a guest on the podcast basically every episode. And I'm like, Nina, that's awesome. I'd love to have you. Let's get on. So we are going to be doing a regular series with Nina and having her on the show just to talk about business stuff. Because one of the things I love about aligning with people like Nina and some of our other partners here at Flourish and Thrive is that they're really committed to supporting small business. And even though they're running their own business, they just want to give back and help you succeed and grow. And it's really a passion of theirs. And so this is just a great opportunity for you, to get some insight on your business and growing a business and the real stuff that happens when growing a business, which we like to talk about here on Flourish and Thrive. So Nina is the founder and chief creative officer of Nina Designs, and it's a wholesale company that designs and markets jewelry parts. These products include charms, pendants, beads, clasps, and findings. And with an emphasis on quality, she's going to talk a little bit more about that, service and creativity, Nina Designs has established itself as a market leader. And for over 30 years, Nina has worked hard to help jewelry designers realize their own creative visions. Creating products to inspire jewelry designers is an ongoing joy. And I love knowing that our work at Nina Designs feeds the creative energy of so many talented artists. Nina is also a committed philanthropist and has funded over $115,000 in microloans for women artisans in over 20 different countries around the world. That's pretty impressive. She's a woman on a mission with a values-driven business, and she's here to help you how to overcome burnout. So let's dive into today's episode. I think you'll really enjoy it, whether you're a jewelry designer or you're in some other product-based business, because I found out more recently that we're not just attracting jewelry designers over here, that fashion companies and product companies are all listening to this and getting great value. So let's dive into today's episode with Nina. Well, I am thrilled to have Nina Cooper on the show again. Nina, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm super psyched.
So we love having you on the show. Nina, for those of you who don't know, would you call yourself the founder, the CEO? What's your title over at Nina Designs?
Sometimes president, sometimes chief creative officer. It depends who I'm talking to.
That's sort of like me. They're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a founder. I'm the chief visionary officer. I'm also the creative director. I'm like, which hat do you want me to wear today? Which is how it goes, right? President, I love it. President, chief creative officer. Well, Nina, thanks for being here. We're going to be talking about an interesting topic that, it's not like one of the bright, happy, shiny topics that we usually talk about on the show, but it's a real topic because in business, over time, at a certain point, you might kind of come into burnout, and it sucks because I've been there. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that. So, Nina, why are you so passionate about this topic?
I think when you own your own business, it can be very exciting, but it can also be overwhelming because everything is on your shoulder and there's always so much more to do than you can get to. And, life happens and sometimes it can just all feel like too much.
Yeah, it really can. I was in the initial decision to actually do the topic about burnout on the show. We were talking a little bit over email and talking before this about how I had to take 6 weeks off this summer, go on sabbatical because I was so burnt out. And it was the best thing that I did. But I'm really working all the time to protect my energy so that I'm always excited about what I'm doing in my business, which is cool. So,
right. And I've been in business for decades. So There's no way you can be in business that long and not, have certain moments where you're just completely overwhelmed and it all feels like too much. And I just want to share some of the strategies that I've come up with over the years for postponing that or, navigating around that as much as possible.
Okay, awesome. So for people who have been hiding under a rock and don't know who you are yet, why don't you talk a little bit about your journey into the jewelry industry? And I'm going to put you on the spot if you're okay with that. I want you to tell us your biggest episode of burnout.
For me, I didn't have one big crisis, but I've been in business so long that there's just been a series of moments that just, you're facing them and there's just no plan because it all seems so big. And sometimes it's triggered by a crisis like the Bali bombings, revolution, cataclysmic flooding. I had my house burned down.
Oh my God, what?
Or something like silver going up to $50 an ounce.
Oh my gosh, that was stressful.
Yeah, there's things you have no control over that come out of you from nowhere that you can't plan for. And then sometimes it's just an accumulation of soul deadening tasks like copyright enforcement, regulatory compliance, tax paperwork. I mean, sometimes you could start to feel drowned by that. And then sometimes it's just the weight of being responsible for so much, for my employees, for all the artisans who work for us, the customers who rely on our products to keep their business functioning smoothly. So, it can come, that feeling of being overwhelmed and not having, firm plan or response can come from many different directions.
Right. So true. So that is, I'm blown, I'm still stuck on the story of cataclysmic floods and your house burning down. It's so crazy how, when you're running, life happens. And when you are an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, it's real life and business are parallel. It's almost sometimes there's no separation. And so it really, all these things really affect a business. And Nina, when I started my business, I remember when 9/11 happened and I was still in San Francisco. And I remember my workers were I'm not coming over the bridge for weeks to come to work. Mm-hmm. And I had to make all the jewelry for these orders and order ship them out. I was so burnt out at that time. I totally remember. So,
well, when our family home burned down at that time, I had my office in the home. And, one of the only things that I grabbed on my way out were my cases with my silver, beads and findings in them. And, I was in a hotel, I lost my mailing list. I lost all my records. I mean, it was before everything was in the cloud or online. And the founders of Ornament Magazine were really kind and they published a notice about what happened to me and telling people to, contact me and give me their contact information so I could rebuild my list.
Wow. Did that work well?
It did. It was amazing. And, the other thing that happened was that, before the fire, I had my jewelry making parts and findings business, but I also did finished jewelry. I did textiles. I did clothing. I did masks. I did all kinds of handicrafts out of Bali. And after the fire, I really just focused just on jewelry making supplies. And I think in the long run that was actually a really amazingly good pivot because I was focused and I could create a plan just around that. And in the long run, I think it served me well.
Yeah. So Nina, we kind of did this backwards. Why don't we talk a little bit about your journey into the jewelry industry and how you kind of got involved for people who don't know who you are?
Sure. So I've always loved jewelry, like probably a lot of you guys out there. And I actually loved making beaded jewelry. I sold my necklaces at my first craft show when I was 10 years old. And then I started selling earrings out of a shoebox. until when I was towards the end of high school, I got a booth on Telegraph Avenue near the University of California, Berkeley. And while I was doing that, I noticed a lot of the other artists, just had their kids right there in the smog on the street. And I realized I wanted to have an artistic career, but I did not want to raise my kids in the street. Yep. So I majored in business, and all the while sort of trying to figure out how I could marry art and commerce in a sustainable way. And during that time, I was also in the modern dance company at UC Berkeley, and I had the opportunity to go to Bali to study dance. But fortuitously, I landed in a village that specialized in beaded jewelry, making beaded jewelry. So that was amazing. And then I also discovered that Bali was full of all these villages. There was one for silver and one for wood carving and textiles. And I just kind of went crazy. So after college, I started having my jewelry made in Bali. And I also did all kinds of other handicrafts. It was really, really fun, hard, but fun. And then my family home burned down. And after that, I decided to focus just on the beads and findings, which I had started having made in the silver village because they were things that I couldn't find in the market. And it turned out there were a lot of other people who wanted them. So that's sort of how things started. And then it expanded eventually into charms and pendants. And, we do rings and earrings and stuff too. So I've just been very fortunate that way. And I have to say that with this career, it's perfect for me because I love working with other artists, and I had discovered that the fashion world really wasn't for me. I really like being in a community of artists.
That is so cool. I love it. Now, are you still going to Bali a lot?
I go once a year. We still have all of our handmade production in Bali. I actually built a production facility. I don't own it, but I'm the primary client there. And we do all of our handmade stuff there. We also now have started doing some cast work in Bali, but we also do a large chunk of our cast production in Thailand. Even though everything is hand finished, we do have a lot of cast products as well.
Awesome. Okay, so let's kind of cycle back to talking about how to prevent burnout and some of the ways that you can, or some of the tools that you've kind of developed over the years to or strategies, because I feel like they're kind of the same thing. Kind of prevent, if you're kind of feeling like you're getting in a place where it might happen, or to prevent it altogether.
Yeah. So the thing is I've never really been in a position where I could just flame out. So I have like a 10-point list of things that I try and stick to that can either pull me back from the edge or keep me from going too close to the edge over the decades. So I'll just dive right in. So the first thing is, it's super important to know your drivers, to know where you can apply your time and resources to reliably generate sales. And the reason this is important is because, when you're self-employed, especially before, when you don't have a lot of people working for or with you, there's so much to do. And so really knowing the most efficient way to turn your time into money is really important. And so that goes to number 2, which is make a list of everything you need to do and prioritize line items so that your days don't get hijacked by less important tasks.
Okay, awesome. I love that because we do this thing, we call it the rule of threes. We do in our Diamond Insiders, we do 3 commitments a week, and then those are backed by the top 3 priorities a day.
Yep,
that you have
exactly.
Time on, and you don't do anything else until those things are done.
That's perfect. So then number 3 is to set goals and break them down into specific tasks that you can add to your list. So that plays into exactly what you just said. And again, it just helps keep you focused so you don't get overwhelmed by the endless list. And number 4, this is really important. Know what you love to do and what you hate to do. It's really important to clarify that. And then that leads to number 5, which is when the going gets tough, delegate the things you hate to do. And I think that is really much harder than it sounds. And a lot of people will say, well, I just don't have the money to hire someone. But there are creative ways that you can delegate that don't necessarily involve having an employee.
Yeah.
So some of those strategies can include use contractors. You can barter. I mean, there's no service I haven't traded for jewelry.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I even traded the chiropractor for jewelry when I was younger. I traded for surgery at one point.
What?
I did. So, yeah, it's amazing. People love jewelry. And then you can use online services like Odesk to find freelancers at reasonable rates.
Yep.
And then the last thing is teenagers. It's amazing. If you get a smart teenager who loves, jewelry, but has other kinds of skill sets, they can be a great source of temporary help, especially for repetitive tasks and things like social media.
Yeah. Do you have a teenager doing your social media now?
I don't. I'm, at the point where I can have staff that do that, but I know a lot of people who have deployed talented teens in that capacity.
Exactly. I always say that, when we used to hire interns, we always pay people at Flourish and Thrive, but when we were hiring paid interns, I would seek out college students. I didn't really want high school because I felt like they might not get the audience enough, but I could teach a college student how to figure it out. And they grew up in the social media age. And it was so helpful, to kind of bridge the gap for many, many years until now we have our full-time content person is coming, or not full-time, she's still part-time, but content person is starting on Monday, which is fun. So we're kind of transitioning. We're growing up over here at Flourish and Thrive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a process. I'm just saying that, even on a very tight budget, you can be creative and get help.
I love it. And I love all these ideas because I think people just think that they have to do it all.
Right.
And it's doing all the things is not what you have to do.
No, because if you do that, you'll never grow. I mean, there'll be a cap. The cap on your growth is the 24 hours in a day if you don't learn how to delegate. It's better to learn how to do that early.
Yes, I love it. Me and you, simpatico, my friend.
So number 6 is also really important. Number 6 is celebrate. So it's really important to celebrate your accomplishments before rushing on to the next item on your list, because it creates definition and a sense of accomplishment. And instead of all the days just running together, you have things to look forward to. So I really recommend to write down how you will celebrate next to each big goal.
Yep.
For instance, if we make our monthly sales goal, we all go out to lunch as a team, and my staff knows that. And it motivates them, and it also gives us that breath to just celebrate what we've done, because it's a lot of work to make a sales goal. And then if we make our quarterly goals, we get chair massages, which is super exciting. So
you have one of those people just come into your office?
We do. And we've done that a few times, and it's just amazing. And then I know a realtor who buys herself a nice piece of jewelry every time she makes a sale.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I reward my team. I give them bonuses since it's virtual. We can't really get together as much.
But
I give myself treats. I'm like, if we hit our goal, you get a new handbag.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's important that it's not just monetary. I think it's important to have things to look forward to that are treats, that are something that you wouldn't normally do for yourself or your team wouldn't normally do for themselves.
Exactly.
If you can make it a group thing and build the culture of the company, that's even better.
100%. I love it.
So then number 7 is create rituals, which you started to talk about. So a ritual is a small moment of joy built into your day. That's not related to performance. That's just part of your routine.
Yeah.
So for instance, I like to take a walk around the block at least once a day, and I make a point of noticing what's blooming or growing in the neighborhood. And then the other thing is I keep a stash of dark chocolate to have with my afternoon tea. And I really look forward to that every single day.
I do that too, but I don't have tea. I go and get coffee.
Yeah,
I'm like, coffee.
It's just whatever will do it for you. And don't underestimate funny cat videos. Those are very popular in our office.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, I have a lot of rituals. I mean, I start my day writing my journal. I started getting up at 5 a.m. this last month. I cheated a couple times this last week because I couldn't fall asleep because all the excitement with the laying the foundation launch and everything that we were doing over here as this is being recorded. And so it was harder for me to fall asleep. So I'm changed my wake up time to 6 instead of 5. But it's been really great because I have this time in the morning to write in my journal. I meditate and I make sure that I do it before I go work out. And sometimes I've been booking my workout sessions with my trainer a little bit later So I can actually go and write in the morning. And it's been so great, not just writing my journal, but writing, I have to write so much for Flourish and Thrive and all of my businesses that it's free time when no one's bothering me, where my head is clear and I have great ideas. And it's an awesome opportunity to just get things out of my head and onto paper. And it has made me so much more productive and happier. Yeah. And I don't feel so stressed in the day. And during the day when everything's going on and people are messaging me, that's when I take a nap. I'm like, well, I'll just take a nap now and then come back, and I don't have to put so much pressure on myself to write during the time when I'm not productive.
Yeah, it's important to know when your most productive times of day are. I'm a morning person too, but there are other people who, mornings are just not going to happen, that their brain doesn't even turn on until 8:00 at night. And so it is important to know yourself. And what you were saying also feeds really well into number 8, which is 1 or 2 selfish things that you do every week just for you. And I have a note that taking care of your kids does not count.
No.
So especially if you're trying to run a business and raise kids, you don't necessarily have any downtime even when you're not working. And so for me, I'm getting towards the end of my childcare years, but for me, especially when I was in the heat of it, trying to have lunch with a friend at least once a week was super important to me, to just keeping myself feeling sort of full on a more personal level. And then also I have a dance class that I just never miss. And I have to drive all the way into San Francisco, and it takes time away from my family, but they know that I'm so much harder to live with if I don't do it, that they actually push me out the door.
How many times a week?
I actually go 3 times a week.
And what kind of class?
It's like an Alvin Ailey style modern jazz blues class, but I've been dancing with the same community for over 30 years. So it's I rationalize it as it's my exercise, my therapy, my spirituality, and my social life all wrapped up. And I do that, and it's a big commitment, but it's all I do.
I love that. I need to get it back into a dance class. I haven't been dancing my entire life like you have, but I was going to one every single Saturday, and it was just changed my life. And then my teacher just decided to stop doing it. And I haven't found something to replace it. They're either way too complicated for me. It's too, to go to Broadway Dance Center or something like that, or it's too easy and it's not really a routine. It's more like aerobics. I'm I gotta start channeling that perfect dance class again, because it really does.
I have to say, you are in New York City, so there's no excuse. There's something there for you.
I know. Well, some of them are really hard. I go to this guy Sibo's class. I don't go regularly. Let's just put it that way. But I love his class. But I feel so silly because in other dance classes I can do really well, but then I feel like my feet are crossing.
Yeah, well, I think it's also really healthy to do things you're bad at and have that beginner's mindset and not always have to be the expert. It's very healthy.
Nina, you know me. I'm want to be on top.
I know. That's why it's good for you to sometimes. That's why it's good for you sometimes to be in a situation where you're not.
You're so right.
So you're.
That's what I tell myself.
It's this is scripted. So you're leading me automatically into number 9, which is avoid isolation. Because I think as business owners, you can get so wrapped up in your own little bubble, in your own little world, and then everything starts spinning and twisting, and you can't sleep at night because your head's going and going and going. And problems get stuck in your head. And so I think avoiding isolation is really important. So cultivating social and business networks, or, a dance community, or whatever's going to work for you. But
I want to talk about that for a second, because that's exactly what we've done over here at Flourish and Thrive, so that you aren't you have people to bounce ideas off of. And Nina's going to be coming on to our SOS program as a mentor to the mentors, the designers in the community, which I'm really excited about. And I think that the community aspect of building a business it's already here, but if you're not involved in community or mastermind or some sort of group setting to be able to implement and grow your business, you're going to struggle so much harder than anyone else, because you're not getting that emotional support of people who understand you and your plight in the same way.
So that's my 10th and final point, which is to get help. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Almost every business problems been faced and solved before. So reach out to your network, like your fellow F&T members. And most people are so happy to share solutions, and just talking about an issue can clarify the problem and lead you toward a resolution on your own. And you guys with the F&T community, you have all this collective wisdom, and it's also a way to get perspective. So I definitely super encourage people to engage in that way. But I would also say not to underestimate how much you can learn from people in other industries, because businesses are more alike than they are different. Everyone has to juggle cash flow, pay taxes, generate sales, and learn to communicate effectively. So it's really great to go deep in a group within your industry, but it's also great to join a group that is cross-industry. Like I'm a member of the WPO, the Women's Presidents Organization, and in each chapter, we're not allowed to have more than one person from each industry. And it's invaluable to me. I mean, I learned so much. It saved me so much time and so much money. I can't even begin to tell you. So just, avoid isolation and get help. And, hopefully if you have some kind of a system to follow most of these 10 items, you can skate. Even when you skate towards the edge of burnout, you have the resources to pull yourself back.
Awesome. Nina, thanks so much for being here. So why don't you tell us where people can find you first and foremost, and we'll have this linked in the podcast show notes on our blog as well. We have a little special offer for our community. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so our website is ninadesigns.com. We'd love to see you there. Also, we would so love to see you on Instagram, Nina Designs Jewelry. We have great posts. And we're offering a special offer through this podcast. The coupon code is Burnout, and it's good till the end of March. It's $15 off, order of $50 or more with a limit of one per person.
Awesome. Save some cash. Well, I love having you on the show, girl. And we're going to be doing more frequent episodes together because it's super fun and talking about all sorts of entrepreneurship and leadership topics so that you can grow your business and show up like a boss and plan the right way and, prevent burnout, which is so easy to do if you don't kind of follow Nina's plan. So take notes, my friends. We'll have this in the show notes as well. You probably want to download the transcript and tape it on your wall after. Nina, thanks for being here.
Okay. And I've sent you a summary of the 10 points too. So if you want to go ahead and post them, feel free.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we can do that definitely as well. Thanks so much for being here. And you're amazing, girl.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. Wasn't that a great episode? So if you want to take Nina up on her offer to get $15 off your order, you can only use it once. Head on over to the show notes. We'll have links to the website, but you can head on over to ninadesigns.com, enter the code Burnout at checkout to get $15 off an order of $50 or more for one use. And you have until March 31st to use that. And I just want to say, it's always my pleasure being here. If you haven't done so yet, please go and follow us over on Instagram. We're trying to connect more with all the listeners here. We're at flourish_thrive. I'll also have a link in the show notes. And, I'd love to invite you to join our free jewelry group on Facebook. It's the Jewelry Brand Marketing Hub. And it's a Flourish and Thrive curated group. And you can go in there and connect with other jewelry designers and artists. We'll be doing, giving valuable tips for business in there, and also giving you an opportunity to get feedback from your peers and our mentors in that group and share with you some awesome things that we're doing over here at Flourish and Thrive. And, obviously we love helping you. And the fact that I was just so honored because over the years, we've been doing this podcast for almost, I think 3 years now. It's so crazy. We're coming up almost on our 200th episode. I'm going to have to do something big for episode 200. And we've gotten 5-star reviews across the board, which is just amazing. So if you have something to say about this, I'd love for your rating or review where podcasts are featured, especially iTunes. And I'd love to hear what you think about the show because this is just a labor of love for me. And let's do this. Thanks for listening today. This is Tracy. Take care. Until next time.